Greetings and welcome back there, blade fans. We've got a knife for you today that came from the drop store at Amazon. This is the Massdrop and Gavko offering. A Gavko design. Mike Gavic is the designer, very well known. And of course, Massdrop, now known as Drop, is offering many different products on Amazon and has offered many different knives over the years. My only other Drop knife is the Dogtooth by Brad Zinker. Very nice little $140 item with carbon fiber and such. And there is a review out on the channel, so if you're interested, take a look at that one. This one's $175 and you get quite a bit for that. You get a nicely polished but first satin finished blade. It's kind of a little bit of both. It's a satin finish with a polish over it. Therefore, it is a fingerprint magnet. It's from S35VN. It's a Thumbstud opener. It's a frame lock titanium folder. And has what they call a sand color finish. Comes in like there's a blue and there's a green and there's a black and there's a blacked out blade, I think. But this one, for the life of me, ends up looking like bronze, not like sand. And since this is made by the We Knife Company, and they do such a good job with their kind of stonewashed, stressed out, aged look on their anodizing over titanium, it really looks like ancient bronze, and I love that look. So you get the bronze without necessarily the weight, you get the titanium instead. Very snappy action off of the studs, and I'm going to get you the name of the handle treatment, and they refer to it as pelagic, P-E-L-A-G-I-C, pelagic, which is kind of a sectioned off look that is scalloped at the same time. Very interesting. They maintain the same thickness down the center line, and yet it goes inward a little bit up here near the backspacer. The backspacer has its own design to it, which has double the number of scallops. So some meet on the peaks of the pelagic design and some come into the center. So really interesting design. I'm not seeing a provision for a lanyard, so you're out of luck there, you lanyard buffs. I am not one of those, so I'm not missing it, and that's okay. It's my opinion and my style. No jimping, that is zero jimping, just a smooth platform here for the thumb, although you can fully extend the thumb if you choke up, and you have a nice swale there that is shaped like the thumb. The Gavko Thresher is noted for this peak in the middle of what otherwise would be kind of a Bowie clip, I guess you could call it, or just an upswept clip. But it's upswept only because it goes down first and then hooks up just a tiny little bit. That point is exactly on line with the center line of the handle, so for piercing and jabbing movements it is still perfectly on line. And yet we got a handle that actually drops just a little bit. And since it's by the Drop company, that would be appropriate, wouldn't it? Let's get some measurements on this. And overall it is exactly 8 inches. And the blade is coming to that point right there, 3.5. They're calling it 3.6, and I can see that because that is the sharpened edge. The blade stock in millimeters is 3.8, which works out to, should be 0.15, yep. in inches. And if we grab right in the middle there, we've got exactly a 1/2 inch. Yep, I would call it a 1/2 inch. I want to get my caliper stuck in the groove there. 1/2 inch. Of course, if we grab it up near the top, it becomes less than that. And those are the grooves in the handle that I was talking about, that pelagic design. See what we got for a weight. A little bit slow. 4.665, call it 4. Oh, that loves to move around. 4.66 ounces. Not bad. Don't think you're getting an ounce per inch, but that is okay. Would have to be around 3.5 ounces for about a 3.5 inch blade. It's very comfortable in the hand. I would call it a medium-sized knife. I certainly wouldn't call it small, but the way I like large blades, I wouldn't call it large. For me, large has got to be 3.75 and over, and likely more like 4. But you're not cramped. It is extremely comfortable. These grooves in the scales or platforms here definitely act like finger grooves that way, and yet there's really only one finger groove on the knife, and that's up front. And you have just a hint of that going on beyond that, but it does not, there's no peaks here on the handle that are going to force your fingers to be in a certain place other than the index finger. Really nice, deep, full belly on this one. Nice arch there. And this comes through quite sharp. Let's see if I can scrounge up a piece of paper here for you. See if I can have a success here in cutting. Not bad. Yeah, hanging up a little bit. Yeah, I would not call it as sharp as some of the recent Tucson offerings that I've shown, but you know, a good start to an edge. You can definitely improve on that edge, probably with some stropping to start off with. I certainly wouldn't call it dull. It's definitely a sharp working edge. I have an interesting clip that is titanium, and the screws holding it in are titanium, and it is not switchable. Yet these screws here have a magnetic pull, and they would be steel. So why they're using titanium screws on the clip and steel on the body, I'm not sure. These two right here appear to be the only ones. However, there could be, because we've got screws exactly on both sides there, or do we? Yeah, we do. I would say it could be steel tubes that are receiving the screws that go through, and that's probably a better guess. So let's call it that. The thumb studs are just pretty much barrel shaped and rounded, but you have no problems actuating the knife. No problem whatsoever, and it's a nice detent. It will not shake free, and it is dead center. We got a T8 on only one side, and we've got the drop logo on the other side of that pivot. Very interesting. And again, as I say, ergonomically a very comfortable knife. Now here's something even more interesting. BRS Blade Runners did their version of this back a few years ago. This is their Thresher XL, and you can see it's a good inch and a half longer, hence the XL. And it has a blade about a 1/2 inch longer than the Massdrop. Not quite as fancy in the handle, flat sides, titanium. Still has that full back spacer. We've got some chevrons going on here. And there is a provision to move the clip to the left side, which is kind of neat. Although it is not deep carry at all, good inch out of the pocket at least. And fairly smooth, a little tighter. And I'm going to need to work on that one day. We've got T8s on both sides, so you know the story there. I've got to kind of break those free from each other by putting a Torx on each side. Stonewash on this one with slightly different thumb studs, kind of tiered. And yes, you probably noticed that there is a choil on the blade. But still, that same peaked Thresher Gavko design. Here's something even more unique. How about the Tepe Designs Hornet 2? It was a limited run custom, or call it a semi-custom. And here we've got that same motif except in triplicate, or really duplicate. 1 and 2 peaks, and that same little hook to the tip, albeit shorter, and a thumb opening hole with a flipper instead of, a little too close to my background there, instead of the thumb stud. So more opening methods here. Kind of a wider or taller blade to a degree, but that same sort of design language going on there with this knife. So hard to say who influenced whom. Tepe is a very well-known designer. That's Sean Hassan. And obviously Mike Gavic is a very well-known designer. Whether they borrowed ideas or not, I don't know. Everybody's saying these days, well, that looks just like a this knife, or that looks just like a that knife. You know, eventually there's only so many designs out there, and you begin repeating at least little parts of designs. Here's a comparison with the Benchmade Griptilian, exactly the same length overall. And of course the Rat 1, and the Rat 1's a good inch longer overall, with the blade just slightly longer, so lots more handle on the Rat 1 for sure. Well, let me know what you think. This is an interesting knife. It is available, as I said, for $175 on Amazon. Comes in multiple colors. Some of those colors jack the price up a little bit to $200 and a little bit over. This is probably the most economical model, and to me, pretty much the best looking model. Again, let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thank you very much. Catch you soon.